When did your neighbor's legal business move almost destroy your family farm? The pump was making that grinding noise again. 5:12 a.m. Monday morning, and I was doing my rounds when I heard it. Not the steady hum that had been the soundtrack to my mornings for 5 years since Dad died. This was metal on metal, air sucking through pipes that should have been full of water. I ran to the well house. The pressure gauge read 0. My stomach dropped. This well had never failed, not once in 40 years, not during the worst drought in 2015, not when the county rationed water in 2018, 200 feet deep into good aquifer. Dad always said we were blessed with reliable water. I yanked the pump control to manual reset. The grinding got worse. The pump was pulling nothing but air. I sprinted to the backup well on the north side of the property. Same grinding, same zero pressure, same impossible reality. 8,000 chickens were already stirring in their houses. The forecast said 104 degrees today. July in California's Central Valley doesn't forgive. Without water, chickens start dying in 48 hours. Sometimes less in this heat. I did the math while my hands shook. 2,000 gallons. That's what my birds needed every single day. Their automatic water lines, the misting systems that kept them alive in the heat, the cleaning stations. Everything depended on wells that had just gone dry. I jumped in my truck and drove the property line. That's when I saw them. 8 massive wellheads on the Golden Valley Almonds property. Industrial pumps the size of shipping containers. Running full blast at 5:30 in the morning. The ground actually vibrated from the extraction. 6 months ago, when they moved in, they told the water board 3 wells. Agricultural use, same as everyone else. I counted 8 wellheads. 8. Industrial piping running everywhere like metal veins sucking the life out of the earth. I drove to Maria's organic vegetable farm next door, found her standing by her well house looking lost. Dead? I asked. Since yesterday. 60 years this well has worked. Thompson's dairy was next. His son Jake was out front looking grim. Dad's well dropped below pump depth last night. 5 generations of Thompsons never had a dry well. The pattern was obvious. Every small farm within a mile radius. All the wells failing within the same 2-week window. And all of it started exactly 14 days after Golden Valley went fully operational. I raced home and called the emergency water delivery service. $3,000 for 1 day's supply. Earliest delivery is Thursday, the dispatcher said. Thursday? That's 4 days. I need water today. Unusual demand lately. Everyone's calling. I called 3 more companies, all booked. Finally found one that could do same-day emergency delivery. $4,500, cash only. My phone buzzed. Text from my Whole Foods buyer. Where are today's eggs? Contract specifies daily delivery. This is your second warning. The chickens were already panting in their houses, 8 a.m., and they were suffering. I stood in Dad's old office, staring at his photo on the wall. He'd built this farm from nothing, survived the recession, the immigration raids that took half his workers, the avian flu scare of 2012. He survived everything except this. His notebooks were still in the desk drawer. 20 years of meticulous record-keeping. Well depth measurements every month. Water table data. Like he knew someone would need evidence someday. The last entry was 3 months before his heart attack. Water table dropping fast since commercial operations moved in. 15 feet in 6 months. Never seen anything like it. My phone rang. Derek Chen from Golden Valley Almonds. Miss Mitchell, I heard you might be having some water troubles. Terrible situation for small operations. We'd be interested in making you an offer on your property. Before things get worse. What things? My voice came out sharper than intended. The water shortage. It's going to get much harder for farms like yours. We could give you a good price. Cash deal. You could walk away without the debt. I thought about the 8 industrial wells I'd just seen. The way he said before things get worse, like he already knew what was coming. You knew this would happen, I said. You drilled those wells knowing exactly what it would do to us. Silence on his end. Then, I don't know what you're implying, but the offer stands. $200,000 cash. That's generous for a failing operation. The farm was worth $1.2 million before the wells went dry. You knew our wells would fail, didn't you? Water rights are complicated, Miss Mitchell. First in time, first in right. We're simply using what we're legally entitled to. The offer won't last forever. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, looking at Dad's photo, remembering his last words in that hospital bed. Take care of the farm, Sarah. It's all we really have. The chickens were going to start dying tomorrow. The Tuesday morning emergency water board meeting was a joke before it even started. 3 farms filed formal complaints. 3 families whose wells went dry the same week. The board had to call an emergency session. But I could tell from Jim Paulson's face when we walked in that he'd already made up his mind. I brought Dad's notebooks. 20 years of water table measurements, every month, recorded in his careful handwriting. The data showed it clear as day. Stable water levels for 19.5 years. Then a sudden drop starting 6 months ago when Golden Valley started drilling. The evidence is right here, I said, spreading the notebooks on the table. 40 feet drop in 6 months. That's not natural depletion. Derek Chen walked in with 3 lawyers. He had a PowerPoint presentation about agricultural efficiency and water optimization strategies. Graphs showing how many jobs Golden Valley created, how much tax revenue they generated, how many pounds of almonds per gallon of water. Jim Paulson barely glanced at my father's records. Miss Mitchell, we appreciate your documentation, but modern agriculture requires modern water usage. Perhaps small farms need to adapt to changing conditions. Maria stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. Adapt to what? Having our water stolen? No one owns groundwater in California, Paulson said, not even looking at her. It's first in time, first in right. Golden Valley filed their permits before you filed complaints. They filed permits for 3 wells, I said. I counted 8 yesterday morning. 8 industrial wells running full capacity. Chen smiled. Actual smiled. Administrative oversight. We're filing amended paperwork to correct the discrepancy. Why, administrative oversight? Thompson was turning red. You drilled 5 illegal wells and call it paperwork? Alleged illegal wells, one of Chen's lawyers corrected. We're in full compliance with all current regulations. My cows are dying, Thompson said. 40 years of dairy farming, and you're telling me it's about paperwork? Paulson shuffled his papers. The board can't make determinations based on emotional arguments. We need facts. I gave you facts, I said. 20 years of facts. Handwritten notebooks aren't official water table data, Paulson said. Golden Valley has provided certified geological surveys showing adequate aquifer capacity. Surveys from before they drilled 8 wells, Maria said. 3 wells, Chen corrected, soon to be properly documented as 8. So you admit you drilled 8, I said. We're amending our permits to reflect current infrastructure. The other board members sat silent. Patricia Winters kept checking her phone. Robert Harrison doodled on his legal pad. Only young Amy Rodriguez looked uncomfortable, but she was outvoted before she opened her mouth. The board will send an inspector to verify well counts, Paulson finally said. If there are unpermitted wells, Golden Valley will have 30 days to file proper documentation. 30 days? My voice cracked. My chickens will be dead in 48 hours. That's not a water rights issue, Miss Mitchell. That's a business planning issue. Chen's lawyers were already packing up their briefcases. He paused at my chair. My offer still stands. $200,000, cash, today. Go to hell. Your choice, but dead chickens aren't worth anything. They walked out like they'd already won, because they had. The inspector showed up Wednesday morning like she was doing us a favor. County sent Patricia Hoffman. She had a clipboard and kept checking her watch like she had somewhere better to be. I drove her to the property line where Golden Valley's wells were pumping. She counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wells, she said, writing it down. Permits show 3. That's what we've been trying to tell you, I said. She took photos, measured distances, checked serial numbers on the pump equipment. Professional, thorough. For the first time in 3 days, I felt something like hope. I'm issuing an immediate stop work order on the 5 unpermitted wells, she said, filling out the red tag forms. They have to cease operation until proper permits are filed and approved. She stapled the red tags to the wellheads herself. 5 wells shut down, just like that. I called Maria. They're shutting down 5 wells. We won. Don't celebrate yet, she said. She was right. 2 hours later, a black Escalade pulled up. 3 lawyers got out. They had an emergency injunction from a judge in Sacramento. The stop work order is stayed for 30 days pending review, the lead lawyer said, handing Patricia the paperwork. Our client will be filing amended documentation. Patricia read it twice. This is valid. The wells can keep running while they file paperwork. But they're illegal wells, I said. Allegedly unpermitted, the lawyer corrected. Documentation error, not illegal. They pulled the red tags off themselves. By noon, all 8 wells were running again. The water delivery truck finally arrived that afternoon. $4,500 cash. The driver wouldn't even help me hook up the hoses. The chickens were so dehydrated they fought each other at the water lines. Pecking, squawking, drawing blood. By evening, I could see the damage. Egg production down 40%. The stressed birds weren't laying. Some had stopped eating. In the egg washing room, I was packing maybe 60 dozen instead of the usual 100. My phone rang. Whole Foods buyer. Sarah, this is your second missed delivery this week. I know. I'm dealing with a water crisis. The eggs will be there tomorrow. That's what you said yesterday. Look, I like you. Your father was a good man. But I have stores to stock. 1 more missed delivery and we're done. Contract voided. Please, just give me a few days to stabilize. 1 more miss, Sarah. That's it. I hung up and did the math. Without the Whole Foods contract, I was losing $8,000 a month. That contract was the only thing keeping the bank happy. Without it, they'd call the loan. 3 wells were still running legally, still draining the aquifer, still sucking the life out of every small farm in the valley. The stop work order felt like a victory for about 2 hours. But Golden Valley's lawyers had played this game before. They knew exactly how to make illegal legal with enough paperwork and time. The chickens were alive but traumatized. The emergency water would last exactly 1 day. Tomorrow I'd need another $4,500 I didn't have. Maria called that night. My vegetables are dying. Even with the water I'm buying, it's not enough. Thompson texted. Lost 6 cows today, dehydration, 5 wells shut down for 2 hours. That was our big victory, and it cost us everything. Thursday morning, I found my farm gate hanging open, the chain cut clean through with bolt cutters. The dead chicken was on my front porch. One of my best layers, neck twisted, placed carefully on the welcome mat Dad painted with me when I was 12. There was a note under its wing. Stop making trouble. I called the sheriff. They said they'd send someone when available. No one came. My phone rang at 9. The bank. Miss Mitchell, we're reviewing your loan status given recent operational instability. Operational instability? You mean someone sabotaging my farm? We've heard you're having water issues. Missing deliveries. Your Whole Foods contract is in jeopardy. How do you know about my contract? We monitor our agricultural investments closely. We need to discuss accelerating your loan repayment schedule. Accelerating? I've never missed a payment. The loan terms specify we can call the note if the operation becomes non-viable. We'll need to see proof of water security within 30 days. They hung up. Someone had called them, someone who knew exactly what buttons to push. The local news van showed up at noon. I thought finally someone would tell our story. The reporter seemed sympathetic at first, asked about the wells, the dying chickens, the small farms being destroyed. Then I saw the segment that night. They called it Old versus New Agriculture. They showed Derek Chen in his pristine office talking about efficiency and innovation and feeding the world. Some farmers are emotionally attached to outdated methods. They'd rather see land go fallow than embrace modern techniques. Then they showed me. But not the parts where I explained the water theft. They showed me looking exhausted, holding a dead chicken, voice cracking. They edited it to make me look unhinged, desperate, the crazy woman fighting progress. These are difficult transitions, Chen said on camera, looking concerned and reasonable. We've offered to buy several properties at fair market value. Some people just can't let go of the past. My phone started ringing. Neighbors, some supportive, but others said maybe it was time to sell. Maybe I was being stubborn, fighting the inevitable. Maria called. Did you see what they did to you on TV? Yeah. They're trying to break you, make you look crazy so no one listens. Tyler texted that night. My farmhand who'd worked for Dad for 3 years before I took over. Heard Golden Valley paying $25 an hour, double what you pay. Sorry, Sarah, but I got kids. I couldn't match that, could barely afford the $10.50 I was paying him. Then another text. From his cousin Jake, who worked at the county records office. You need to see something. Meet me tomorrow after 5. Not at the office. What is it? Can't text it. But you were right. They knew exactly what would happen. That night I couldn't sleep, kept checking the windows. Every car that passed could be them. Watching. Waiting. The dead chicken was a message. Stop fighting or it gets worse. But Jake had something. Evidence, maybe. Proof they knew our wells would fail. I sat at Dad's desk looking at his notebooks. His careful records. 20 years of fighting to keep this farm alive. He never gave up. Not once. The bank wanted proof of water security in 30 days. Whole Foods would cancel after one more missed delivery. Tyler was gone. My money running out. Chen's lawyers turning 5 illegal wells into legal ones with paperwork. But Jake had something. And I wasn't going to stop. Not when I was this close to proving what they'd done. Even if they were trying to make me look crazy. Even if the whole valley was starting to believe it. The dead chicken was still in my freezer. Evidence, I told myself. But really I kept it because I needed to remember. This wasn't about water anymore. This was about them trying to bury us. Friday night, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the calculator that wouldn't lie to me anymore. $20,000. That's what I'd burned through in 5 days just keeping my chickens alive. Emergency water at $4,500 a day. Cash only. The drivers knew we were desperate. Egg production was down 60%. The stressed birds weren't laying. The ones that did produced thin-shelled eggs that broke in the wash line. 3 days of missed Whole Foods deliveries. My phone buzzed with the email I'd been dreading. Contract terminated. Effective immediately. $8,000 a month. Gone. That contract was the only thing keeping the bank from calling my loan. My phone rang 10 minutes later. The bank. Miss Mitchell, given the loss of your primary contract, we're accelerating your loan. You can't do that. I've never missed a payment. The terms specify we can call the note if the operation becomes non-viable. You have 90 days to pay the full balance. $280,000 in 90 days? Or we begin foreclosure proceedings. I'm sorry. I hung up and looked out the window. Golden Valley's 3 legal wells were lit up like a carnival, pumping even harder than before. They knew the other 5 would be legal soon. Just paperwork. Just time. My phone rang again. Derek Chen. Sarah, heard about Whole Foods. Unfortunate. You called them, didn't you? I don't know what you mean, but my offer stands. Though it drops $50,000 each week. Economics, you understand. Distressed properties depreciate quickly. $200,000 was already theft. $150 now. Next week it's $100. Your debt is $280. You do the math. He hung up. I sat there in my dark kitchen doing exactly that. $100,000 wouldn't even cover half the loan. I'd lose the farm and still owe the bank $180. My phone buzzed. Text from Jake, Tyler's cousin. Check your email. Use a computer, not your phone. 3 attachments. Photos he'd taken in the permit office after hours. The first was Golden Valley's original geological survey, the one they commissioned but never submitted. It showed the aquifer recharge rate clearly. 2 million gallons per year, naturally replenished. Golden Valley's 8 wells were pulling 3.5 million gallons per year. The second document made my hands shake. An internal email accidentally filed with permit paperwork. The subject line: Small Farm Acquisition Timeline. Once aquifer drops below 60 meters, Mitchell, Garza, and Thompson properties will become non-viable. Estimate 2 to 3 months from full operation. Recommend preparing purchase offers at 20% market value. They knew. They knew exactly what would happen to us. Jake was already at the corner booth at Denny's when I got there, baseball cap pulled low. You shouldn't be here, he said. You shouldn't have sent those. My uncle worked that farm for 3 years. Tyler feels terrible about leaving, but 25 an hour is 25 an hour. I don't blame him. Jake slid a folder across the table. There's more. Stuff I couldn't email. Inside were Golden Valley's complete permit files, not just the public ones, the drafts, the revisions, the correspondence with county officials. How did you... Don't ask, just look. Page after page of evidence. They'd run 3 different geological surveys until they got one that said what they wanted. The first 2 clearly showed the aquifer couldn't sustain their extraction rate. The third one, the one they submitted, had different numbers. Same signature though, same geologist. They doctored it, I said, or paid him to. Look at this, an email chain between Chen and someone at the county planning office. Discussion of managing the transition of small farms. Timeline for acquisition. The county official suggesting they be careful about the optics of 3 family farms failing simultaneously. Chen's response: small farms fail every day. This is just economics. The last document was a map. Golden Valley's 5-year plan. Our farms were colored red. Phase 1 acquisition. Maria's organic farm. Thompson's dairy. My egg operation. All of it would become almond orchards. Jake, this is conspiracy. This is exactly what they did in Fresno County 2 years ago. Same playbook. My hands were shaking as I photographed everything with my phone. You can't say where you got these, Jake said. I could go to jail. I know. They're watching you, Sarah. Your computer, your phone, maybe your house. And how do you know? Because there's a note in your file. Monitor for aggressive response. That's not county language. That's their lawyers' words in our system. I looked around the empty Denny's. Just truckers and insomniacs at 2 a.m. What do I do with this? Find someone they can't buy. Someone they can't threaten. Jake stood up to leave. Be careful, he said. When I was pulling these files, someone had been through them recently. Yesterday, maybe. Either they're building more evidence against you, or what? Or someone else is looking into them too. I drove straight to Dr. Rachel Kumar's office at the State University, the documents from Jake burning in my passenger seat. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, soil science professor who specialized in aquifer depletion. Maria had found her through a friend at the Organic Certification Board. I can't pay you, I said, spreading Jake's photos on her desk. I'm not asking for money. This is academic research. She studied the geological surveys. Holy shit, they falsified the recharge rates. Can you prove it? I need to run my own tests. But these numbers. She pulled up something on her computer. I did a baseline study of this aquifer 2 years ago for my 10-year portfolio. The natural recharge rate is definitely 2 million gallons per year, not the 3.8 they're claiming. She grabbed her calculator, started running numbers. Her face got darker with each calculation. At 3.5 million gallons extraction per year, with only 2 million recharge, this aquifer will collapse completely in 18 months. Collapse? The underground structure will compress. Permanent damage. It won't recharge for decades. Maybe longer. The land above could actually sink. They know this? Look at their own survey, the real one. They absolutely know. She stood up, pacing now. This isn't just water theft. This is hydrological strip mining. They're destroying a resource that took thousands of years to develop. My phone buzzed, Maria texting from the emergency farmers meeting. 7 families here, all wells dead or dying. We're organizing. I showed Kumar the text. 7 farms, she said. How many acres total? Maybe 3,000 combined. And Golden Valley? 800 acres of almonds. So they're destroying 3,000 acres of sustainable family farms to water 800 acres of monoculture almonds. She was getting angry now. This is exactly what happened in the San Joaquin Valley. Exact same playbook. My phone rang. Maria. Put her on speaker, Kumar said. Sarah, we've got 20 people here from the food co-op. They want to help. I could hear voices in the background. Angry voices. Our customers. The people who bought our eggs and Maria's vegetables and Thompson's milk every week at the farmer's market. They're starting a legal fund, Maria continued. Already raised $15,000 just in this room. That won't even cover filing fees, I said. Jenny Torres is here, the environmental lawyer. She'll take the case pro bono. Kumar grabbed my phone. This is Dr. Kumar from the university. Tell Jenny I'll provide expert testimony for free. My research proves Golden Valley is destroying the aquifer. I heard cheering in the background. Jenny got on the phone. Sarah? We can file for an emergency injunction based on the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. With Dr. Kumar's data and your father's records, we have a case. They have millions for lawyers. They have money. We have evidence. And once this goes public, they'll have a PR nightmare. Kumar was pulling up more data on her computer. I'm finding similar patterns in 3 other counties. Same company, same tactics. It's not just about water, Jenny said through the phone. This is about corporate farm monopolization. They're systematically destroying small farms to create industrial monocultures. More voices in the background. Someone started chanting, "Save our farms." Others joined in. The co-op wants to protest at the next water board meeting, Maria said. Can we use your father's data? I thought about Jake's warning, about being watched, about Golden Valley's resources. Use everything, I said. Make copies. Spread it everywhere. Kumar was already printing documents. I'll need water samples from your wells and from the aquifer monitoring stations. The county is supposed to test monthly, but I bet they haven't in years. How long for your study? Give me a week, maybe less if I pull in my graduate students. I might not have a week. Then we make noise now and back it up with science later. She handed me a stack of her old aquifer studies. These prove the baseline. Combined with their own documents, it shows deliberate deception. Jenny's voice came through the phone. Sarah, can you get to Maria's house tonight? We need to coordinate strategy. All 7 families together. What about Golden Valley? They're watching me. Good, Jenny said. Let them watch. We're done being scared. The room at Maria's was packed. 7 farm families, 20 co-op members, Jenny Torres with her laptop and legal pads, and $30,000 in checks and cash on the table. This isn't just about saving our farms, Jenny said. This is about stopping them from doing this to the next valley. And the next. Thompson stood up. My grandfather started our dairy in 1952. I'll be damned if Derek Chen thinks he can steal it with paperwork and lies. The room erupted. We were farmers. We were fighters. And we finally had proof they knew exactly what they were destroying. The next morning, Jake's text woke me at 5 a.m. Someone's asking about missing files. Be careful. I looked out my bedroom window. A gray sedan sat at the end of my driveway. It had been there since midnight. I called Maria. There's a car watching my house. Same here, black SUV, been there all night. They weren't even trying to hide anymore. I needed chicken feed, but dreaded going to town. The gray sedan followed me the whole way. When I parked at the feed store, it parked across the street. Inside, I was loading 50-pound bags when Derek Chen walked in. Not his assistant, not his lawyers, Chen himself. Sarah, what a coincidence. Get away from me. Heard you've been very busy lately. Asking lots of questions. I kept loading feed. My hands were shaking, but I didn't want him to see. Amazing what people will do when they're desperate, he said, examining a bag of scratch grain like he'd ever touched chicken feed in his life. Like drilling 8 wells to destroy family farms? He smiled. I meant falsifying documents, stealing county records, making wild accusations. Everything I have is real. Real is subjective. Courts care about admissible. Your friend at the county office, Jake, isn't it? Shame about his gambling debts. Jake doesn't gamble. Not yet, but his credit report might say otherwise soon. These things happen. Two men walked into the store, Chen's men. They stood by the door. Leave Jake alone, I said. I don't even know Jake, but I do know desperate people make terrible witnesses. Unstable people. People with mental health issues. I'm not unstable. The bank thinks otherwise. Someone called them, concerned citizen, said you've been acting erratic, paranoid, they're worried about their investment. You son of a bitch. Careful. Threats aren't good for someone in your position. He put down the scratch grain. 100,000, final offer, take it today or lose everything tomorrow. He walked out, his men followed. The gray sedan was gone when I got outside. At home, my laptop was open on the kitchen table. I knew I'd closed it. The screen showed my email, already logged in. Someone had been through everything. I called Maria. They were in my house. Your computer? Yeah. The documents? Hidden at your place, but they know we have them now. My phone buzzed. Text from the bank. Psychiatric evaluation required before loan modification discussion. Appointment scheduled Thursday, 2 p.m. with Dr. Morrison. I Googled Dr. Morrison. His biggest client was Golden Valley Agricultural Corporation. Another text, this time from Dr. Kumar. University suddenly reviewing my research funding. Someone filed complaint about biased research. Meeting tomorrow to defend my position. They were attacking everyone. Jake, Kumar, me, Maria called. Jenny says not to worry. This is what they do when they're scared. I am worried. They're in my house. They're destroying Kumar's career. They're threatening Jake. Jenny says document everything. Every interaction. Every threat. With what? They went through my computer. And she's bringing you a new laptop tonight and a security camera. That evening I saw the gray sedan again. This time the driver wasn't hiding. He was taking photos of everyone who came to my farm. Maria's truck, Jenny's Prius, Kumar's university car. Jenny installed the security camera herself. They want you scared. Don't give them that. They're threatening everyone helping me. Because they know we have them. The geological surveys, the email about farm acquisition, the falsified documents, they can't make those disappear. Kumar arrived looking exhausted. The university gave me 1 week to prove my research isn't biased. This is my fault, I said. No, this is Golden Valley's fault, and I'm not backing down. She pulled out a folder. My initial aquifer analysis is complete. At current extraction rates, the aquifer will be permanently damaged within 18 months. It's worse than I thought. Will the university let you testify? They can't stop me. Academic freedom, but they can make my life hell. Jake texted that night. Someone broke into my apartment, nothing stolen, but they wanted me to know they'd been there. I texted back. I'm sorry. Don't be. Some things are worth fighting for. But Sarah, they're not playing anymore. Whatever you're going to do it fast. I sat in Dad's office that night, the new security camera recording everything. The gray sedan was back. The driver wasn't hiding anymore. They thought they'd broken us, scared us into silence. They were wrong. Amy Chen from the local paper called Tuesday morning, no relation to Derek despite the last name. I've been following the water crisis, she said. Can we talk? I met her at Maria's house, not trusting my own place anymore. I gave her some documents, the water table measurements, the well counts, the basic permit discrepancies. But I held back the smoking gun, the falsified geological surveys, the acquisition timeline email. Jenny said we needed those for court. This shows they drilled 5 unpermitted wells, Amy said, studying the papers. 8 wells total when they only had permits for 3. That's significant. That's theft. She took notes for an hour, asked good questions, seemed to get it. The story ran Wednesday morning. Permit discrepancies in agricultural water use. That was the headline. Not water theft, not family farms destroyed. Permit discrepancies. The article mentioned Golden Valley drilled more wells than permitted. Derek Chen was quoted calling it an honest administrative mistake. The company agreed to a voluntary 10% reduction in pumping while paperwork was being corrected. 10%. They were stealing 1.5 million gallons a year, more than the aquifer could sustain, and they'd reduce by 10%. Meaningless. It's something, Maria said when she called. It's nothing. They're still draining us dry, just 10% slower. The water board scheduled a formal hearing for 2 weeks out. 2 weeks while my chickens died and my farm collapsed. Saturday morning at the farmer's market, I was selling my last 3 dozen eggs when Derek Chen appeared at my booth. Nice article, he said. Very balanced. Get away from my stand. Public market, I'm just shopping. He picked up an egg, examined it like he'd never seen one before. You think you're clever? Feeding documents to reporters? Everything I gave her was true. Truth is expensive. We have resources you can't imagine. Lawyers in 3 states, connections at every level of government. You have what? Some old notebooks and a university professor whose funding just disappeared? I have proof you falsified geological surveys. His smile faltered for just a second. Proof requires verification, witnesses, chain of custody. Your friend at the county office won't be much help. Jake's not involved in this. Jake had an accident yesterday, broke his filing hand, fell down some stairs at his apartment complex. Terrible buildings, those old complexes, dangerous stairs, no cameras to show what happened. My blood went cold. You had someone hurt him? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying accidents happen, especially to people who steal county documents after hours. He set the egg down carefully. Shame if more accidents happened. To helpful professors, to organic farmers, to people who can't protect themselves. You're threatening us? I'm shopping for eggs. He pulled out his wallet. How much for a dozen? Though I heard you might not be in business much longer. 2 co-op members were watching now. Mrs. Patterson from the library, Tom from the hardware store. $3, I said loudly. Same price my father charged. Same eggs his father sold. 3 generations of Mitchells feeding this community while companies like yours destroy it. Such drama. He put 3 singles on the table. Enjoy your last market day. He walked away with my eggs. My hands were shaking as I packed up my empty cartons. Tom walked over. Was that Derek Chen? From Golden Valley? Yeah. What did he want? To let me know that Jake from the county office is in the hospital with a broken hand. Fell down some stairs. Tom's face darkened. Jake doesn't live in an apartment. He lives in a single-story house. Mrs. Patterson pulled out her phone. I'm calling Amy Chen back. The real story needs to be told. But I knew Golden Valley had resources we couldn't imagine, and they'd just shown they were willing to use them. Jake wouldn't even look at me when I visited the hospital. His right hand was in a cast up to his elbow. 3 broken fingers, they said. Fell downstairs at his apartment complex. Except Jake lived in a single-story house on Maple Street. Jake, please, tell them what really happened. He stared at the TV mounted on the wall, some game show playing on mute. They said if I talk next time it's my typing hand, both of them. His voice was barely a whisper. I have kids, Sarah. I can't. I left the hospital and found a voicemail waiting. My farm insurance company. Miss Mitchell, we're calling to inform you that your policy has been canceled effective immediately. Recent evaluation shows your property is now classified as high risk. This decision is final. Without liability insurance, I couldn't process chickens. The processing plant wouldn't even let me through the gate. I had 2,000 birds ready for market this week. Without processing, they'd become a total loss. $40,000 of inventory I couldn't sell. I called 3 other insurance companies. The moment I gave them my farm address, they all said the same thing. High-risk area, no coverage available. That afternoon, Maria called. Peterson and Williams just sold their water shares to Golden Valley. What? 20% above market value. Cash. They couldn't refuse. Peterson's Berry Farm, Williams Vineyard. Both had senior water rights from the 1960s. Now Golden Valley owned them. That's not even the worst part, Maria said. My organic certification is suddenly under review. Anonymous complaint about contamination. They're saying it could take 6 months to resolve. 6 months without being able to sell as organic. That would destroy her. Tyler texted me that evening. My last farmhand. The one who'd stayed when the others left. Sarah, I'm sorry. Golden Valley offered me foreman position. $25 an hour plus benefits. My wife's pregnant. I start Monday. I didn't blame him. Couldn't blame him. $25 an hour was more than I'd ever make from the farm now. Sunday morning, I was alone on the farm with 6,000 chickens, down from 8,000 just 2 weeks ago. The survivors were drinking the last of the water I could afford. Tomorrow, the tank would be empty again. I walked through the chicken houses. The birds were quieter now. Stressed birds don't vocalize much. They huddled in corners, feathers dull, eyes half closed. Some had stopped laying completely. Others produced eggs so thin-shelled they broke before I could collect them. My phone rang. Derek Chen. Lonely out there by yourself? What do you want? Just checking in. Heard about your insurance trouble. Terrible situation. 2,000 birds ready for processing and nowhere to take them. You did this. The insurance company made their own risk assessment. These are dangerous times for small farms. Accidents happen. Fires, contamination. Who knows what could go wrong? Are you threatening me? I'm offering you $75,000. Today. Cash. Final offer. The farm is worth nothing. It's worth nothing without water, without insurance, without workers. Take the money, Sarah. Walk away while you can still walk. I hung up. Looked at the chicken houses, the empty water tanks, the bills stacked on Dad's desk. 6,000 chickens depending on me. No water coming tomorrow. No way to process the ones ready for market. No insurance. No workers. No help. Peterson had lasted 40 years before selling out. Williams' family had owned that vineyard since the 1950s. Both broken in a single week. I was completely alone now. They'd isolated me, cut off every resource, every ally. This wasn't about water anymore. This was about crushing me completely. By day 23, without reliable water, I was stealing from Maria's dying well. Her pump was starting to suck air too, making that grinding noise I knew too well. But she had maybe 50 gallons a day she could spare, enough to keep my remaining chickens from dying of thirst. I'd culled another 1,000 birds that week. The weakest ones. The oldest. The ones that stopped laying when the stress got too bad. Down to 5,000 from 8,000 just 3 weeks ago. I loaded their bodies into the truck myself. No workers left to help. Drove them to the rendering plant because I couldn't even process them for meat without insurance. $20,000 of inventory turned into pet food ingredients for $300. Sunday at the farmer's market, I had 12 dozen eggs. That's it. 12 dozen from 5,000 chickens. Mrs. Patterson bought 6 dozen. For the church breakfast, she said, pressing an extra 20 into my hand. I wanted to refuse it, wanted to have enough pride left to refuse charity, but I needed that 20 for gas to haul water. How are you doing, sweetie? She asked. Fine, I lied, knowing I'd lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Living on ramen noodles and anxiety, every dollar went to water or chicken feed. Nothing left for groceries. The house was falling apart around me. The roof had started leaking in Dad's office. I'd put a bucket under it but couldn't afford the $200 to fix it. The water heater died Tuesday. Cold showers now. The refrigerator made a grinding noise that sounded like the wells dying. That night, I found the photo album Mom left behind when she moved to Florida. There was one of Dad teaching me to collect eggs. I was maybe 5, wearing his work gloves that came up to my elbows, both of us grinning at the camera. This land will take care of you if you take care of it, he used to say. But the land couldn't give what had been stolen from beneath it. The earth was still there, but the water that gave it life was being sucked out at 3.5 million gallons a year by Golden Valley's 8 wells. Mom called while I was looking at the photos. Sarah, honey, I'm worried about you. I'm fine, Mom. Maria called me. She says you're not eating, not sleeping. Maria should mind her own business. Just sell it, honey. It's just dirt. It's not just dirt, my voice cracked. It's Dad. It's everything he built. 3 generations of Mitchells on this land. Your father's dead, Sarah. He's been dead 5 years. He wouldn't want you killing yourself over dirt and chickens. You don't understand. I understand you're 38 years old, alone on that farm, destroying your health and your future for what? Pride? After she hung up, I sat at Dad's desk with the calculator. $280,000 owed to the bank. 70 days left to pay it. 5,000 dying chickens. No water, no insurance, no workers. An email popped up. Official offer from Golden Valley Agricultural Corporation. $200,000 for everything. The land, the equipment, the houses. Everything 3 generations had built. $200,000 against $280,000 in debt. I'd lose the farm and still owe $80,000. But there was a line at the bottom. Debt assumption negotiable. They'd pay off the bank. I'd walk away with nothing, but at least I'd be free. I picked up Dad's picture. The one where he's standing by the new well he drilled in 1983, proud because he'd hit good water at 200 feet. I'm sorry, Dad. The calculator showed the truth. Negative numbers everywhere. Bank account, negative 300. This month's revenue, maybe $1,000. Expenses, 6,000. Chen was right. The farm was worth nothing now. Less than nothing. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe it was time to give up. I looked out at the chicken houses. 5,000 birds depending on me. In the morning, Maria's well would probably be dead too. No water anywhere. No money left for emergency deliveries. Maybe tomorrow I'd call Chen, take the 200,000, walk away while I could still walk. Maybe there was no shame in losing to someone with millions to spend on lawyers and lies. Maybe Dad would understand. Maybe. The encrypted message from Dr. Kumar came at 2 a.m. Can't talk on regular channels. Found something massive. As I called her from Maria's phone using the Signal app she'd told me to download, my own phone was probably compromised. Sarah, I found Dr. Martin Webb, the original geologist Golden Valley hired. And? They threatened to destroy his career if he told the truth, but he kept copies of everything. My heart was pounding. What did he find? The aquifer Golden Valley is draining. It directly feeds the Kern River Preserve wetlands. There's a protected species of fairy shrimp that only exists in those pools. If the aquifer drops another 40 feet, those pools dry up permanently. That's a federal crime under the Clean Water Act, knowingly destroying critical habitat for an endangered species. We're talking criminal charges, not just fines. Can Webb testify? He's terrified. Golden Valley's lawyers sent him a cease and desist with $1 million penalty clause if he talks, but his original data is in the UC Davis Academic Archives. Public record. I found it. Why can't you go public with this? The university president called me personally yesterday, said if I release anything about Golden Valley, I lose my tenure-track position immediately. They donate $2 million a year to the agriculture program. So we're stuck? Not exactly. She gave me a phone number. EPA whistleblower hotline. They protect sources. But Sarah, they need more than just Webb's old data. They need proof Golden Valley knew about the wetlands connection and drilled anyway. I thought about the documents Jake had risked everything to get me. The email about managing small farm failures. The falsified geological reports. I might have that proof. Then call them. Tonight. From a phone they can't trace. Maria drove me to a truck stop 20 miles away. We used the payphone outside, the kind that still takes quarters. I fed it $5 and change and dialed. The EPA duty officer sounded bored until I mentioned endangered species habitat and Golden Valley agricultural. Ma'am, are you saying a company is knowingly destroying protected wetlands? I'm saying they're draining an aquifer that feeds protected wetlands. They have documents proving they knew this when they drilled 8 industrial wells. 8 wells? Their permits show 3. I have photos of the permits, the real ones, and emails discussing their plan to force small farms to sell by draining our water. Can you send these documents? Not electronically. They're monitoring everything. We can send an investigator. But ma'am, we get dozens of these calls. Without concrete evidence of immediate environmental harm. Fairy shrimp, I said. Endangered Kern River fairy shrimp. The pools will be dry in 3 weeks at current extraction rates. Silence. Then typing. Those are federally protected. If what you're saying is true, it's true. Dr. Rachel Kumar at the State University has independent verification. Dr. Martin Webb has the original geological surveys showing the connection. We'll need those surveys. The originals. Webb is terrified. They threatened him. We can protect witnesses, but we need something concrete. A smoking gun that proves they knew. I thought about Derek Chen's smile, his lawyers, his millions in resources. Then I thought about Dad's farm dying under my feet, Maria's organic vegetables withering, Thompson's cows being sold for meat because he couldn't water them. I have their internal emails, planning documents, proof they falsified the geological reports they submitted to the county. How soon can you get these to us? The water board hearing is in 10 days. If you don't act before then, ma'am, if even half of what you're saying is true, we'll have investigators there in 48 hours, but I need those documents. How? They're watching my house, my phone, everything. Go to any U.S. post office. Ask for certified mail, return receipt requested, to this address. She gave me an Oakland Federal Building address. Market, Environmental Crimes Unit, urgent. Include copies of everything. Keep the originals safe. Maria was waiting in the car, engine running. Well? They said they need the documents. All of them. Then we send them. If Golden Valley finds out, Sarah, they already broke Jake's hand. They've destroyed your farm. What else can they do? I looked at my phone. 3 missed calls from Derek Chen. I don't want to find out. Amy Chen wouldn't give up even after her editor killed the story. She called me Wednesday night from her personal cell. I found something about Jim Paulson, the water board commissioner. His financial disclosures from 3 years ago, he bought Golden Valley shares through his pension fund, $50,000 worth. That's not illegal, but it's a massive conflict of interest. He's voting on water rights while owning stock in the company that benefits. Can you publish it? My editor says no, but I sent it to a reporter at the Sacramento Bee and the LA Times. Someone will bite. Maria called next. The food co-op meeting just ended. 200 people are coming to the water board hearing. 200? They're angry, Sarah. Half of them buy from our farms. They're tired of watching corporations destroy local agriculture. Thursday morning brought another call. Jenny Torres, our lawyer. I just got off the phone with attorneys in Fresno County. Golden Valley did the exact same thing there 2 years ago. 3 farms went under. What happened to them? Forced to sell. Golden Valley owns all that land now. But here's the interesting part. Kern County is investigating similar complaints. So is Tulare County. This is a pattern. A pattern we can prove? With your documentation? Absolutely. And Sarah, a state assembly member's office called me. They're asking questions about water rights enforcement. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your father's shed. Southeast corner under fertilizer bags. I walked to the old storage shed. Dad's 1950s tractor was still parked inside, covered in dust. The southeast corner had stacks of 50-pound fertilizer bags from seasons past. Under the bottom bag, wrapped in plastic, was another notebook, not just water measurements. Dad had documented every well drilled within 5 miles for 20 years. Dates, depths, who drilled them, which farms failed after corporate operations moved in. The last section made my hands shake. Golden Valley's initial geological survey from 5 years ago, before they bought the land. Dad must have gotten it from someone at the county. It showed everything. The aquifer connection to the wetlands, the recharge rates, the sustainable extraction limits, everything they later falsified. A note in Dad's handwriting. They came asking to buy the farm in 2019. I said no. They said they'd be back when I had no choice. I knew what they meant. He'd known. He'd known they were coming for our water, our land, our lives. He'd prepared evidence for a fight he didn't live to see. Another text from the unknown number. Water board hearing tomorrow. Time to end this. I called Maria. Who else knows about Dad's notebooks? Just us. Why? Someone's texting me. They know about Dad's evidence. Jake? He's too scared. Someone else. Someone who wants Golden Valley stopped. That night, I sat at Dad's desk organizing everything. The original geological surveys, the falsified ones, the emails about farm acquisition, the documentation of Paulson's financial conflict, 20 years of Dad's water records, Dr. Kumar's aquifer analysis, the EPA whistleblower report I'd mailed that morning. Tomorrow, 200 people would pack that hearing room. The state assembly was watching. 3 counties were investigating. Environmental groups were mobilizing. Derek Chen had said they had resources we couldn't imagine, but we had something more powerful. The truth. And a room full of people ready to hear it. The morning of the water board hearing, my last 500 chickens had no water, not a drop. Maria's well finally died overnight. The pump just sucked air when I tried it at 5 a.m. My emergency tank was bone dry. The birds were already panting, beaks open, wings spread, trying to cool down. July heat was climbing fast. Forecast said 106 degrees. I loaded them into the truck. All 500, crammed into crates meant for 300. They were the last survivors of 8,000 birds. If Thompson had any water left at his dairy, maybe I could save them. Maybe. The highway was backed up. Golden Valley trucks everywhere, moving drilling equipment. They were expanding. Stop work order meant nothing. 8 wells weren't enough. They wanted more. The chickens started dying at mile marker 47. First 1, then 3, then a dozen. Heat stroke in the crates. No air circulation. No water for 2 days. I pulled over on the shoulder and started pulling dead birds out, throwing them on the roadside. Passing cars honked. Someone yelled to get off the highway. I called 911. Agricultural emergency. Animals dying. Is this about water? The dispatcher sounded tired. We've had dozens of calls today. My chickens are dying on Highway 99. I need help. Animal control is overwhelmed, ma'am. Is this the Mitchell farm? How do you know my name? Your situation has been flagged. There's already a news van heading to your location. The van pulled up 3 minutes later. Amy Chen jumped out with her cameraman, not waiting for her editor's permission anymore. Sarah? Oh my God. She saw the dead chickens, the dying ones in crates, me covered in feathers and bird shit, crying on the shoulder of the highway. Derek Chen's Escalade pulled up behind the news van. He got out in his $1,000 suit. Turn that camera off. She's having a mental breakdown. Keep rolling, Amy told her cameraman. I held up a dying chicken. Still warm, still breathing, barely. This is what corporate agriculture does. This is what happens when they steal our water. She's unstable, Derek said. Look at her. I pulled out Dad's hidden notebook, held it up to the camera. 20 years of proof. They knew our wells would fail. They knew the aquifer couldn't sustain their extraction. They did it anyway. Thompson's truck pulled up with a water tank, Maria's car right behind him, then another farmer, and another. 7 trucks lined up on the highway shoulder. Enough, Thompson said, seeing my dying chickens. This is enough. Traffic was backing up for miles. Drivers getting out to see what was happening. Some started recording with their phones. Number sign water thieves was trending within an hour. You're all trespassing, Derek said. This is Golden Valley property. This is a public highway, Maria said, and these are our neighbors dying. The birds that were still alive were gasping, beaks open, eyes glazing. Another one died while the camera was rolling, then another. Turn the camera off, Derek demanded. No, Amy said. People need to see this. Thompson started pouring water from his tank into buckets while the camera rolled. How many are still alive? He asked. Maybe 300, maybe less. Maria grabbed buckets and started filling the chicken crates. Other farmers jumped in, 7 of us trying to save what was left while traffic backed up in both directions. Drivers were getting out of their cars. Some were recording with their phones. This is insane, someone shouted. These poor animals. Derek Chen pulled out his phone. I'm calling the sheriff. This is illegal obstruction. Call whoever you want, Thompson said. We're not letting these chickens die. Amy Chen's cameraman was getting it all, me covered in dirt and feathers, dead chickens scattered on the asphalt, farmers frantically trying to save the living ones with whatever water we could find. 20 years, I told the camera, holding up Dad's notebook, pages fluttering in the hot wind from passing trucks. My father documented everything, Golden Valley's geological surveys, the ones they hid. They knew they'd destroy the aquifer. They knew small farms would die. She's lying, Derek said, but his voice cracked. More cars stopping. People I recognized from town, from the farmer's market, from the co-op. They saw my chickens dying on the highway and understood immediately what was happening. Those are Mitchell eggs, Mrs. Patterson said. She'd pulled over in her Corolla. I've been buying them for 20 years. Not anymore, Derek said. This operation is finished. Because you stole their water, someone else yelled. The crowd was growing. 20 people, 30, 40, all standing on the highway watching my family's legacy die in real time. Thompson had saved maybe 200 chickens with his water. The rest were gone. 300 dead birds on the highway. 5 years of building the flock after Dad died. 3 generations of egg farming. Dead on asphalt because one company decided our water belonged to them. Look at what you did, I said to Derek. My voice was raw. Look at them. This is economics, he said. Inefficient operations fail. This is theft. Maria was live streaming on her phone now. For anyone watching, we're on Highway 99. 7 family farms destroyed so Golden Valley can grow almonds for export. This is what corporate agriculture looks like. The state police arrived. 3 cars with lights flashing. I thought they'd arrest us for blocking traffic. Instead, the lead officer walked over to Derek. Sir, we've had reports of industrial equipment moving without permits. Are those your trucks? We have authorization. From whom? The stop work order is still active. Behind us, more farmers were arriving. Not just from our area. Word was spreading. Dairy farmers from Tulare, vegetable growers from Fresno, all with the same story. Corporate operations moving in, drilling deep, and draining aquifers that had sustained family farms for generations. The water board hearing is canceled, Jenny Torres announced. She'd just arrived with a van full of co-op members. They're saying security concerns, but we're not going away. Then we have the hearing here, Thompson said. Right here on this highway. Let everyone see what they're doing to us. Amy Chen turned to her cameraman. Keep rolling. Everything. This is illegal assembly, Derek said, but he was backing toward his Escalade. So is stealing water, Maria said. So is falsifying geological reports. So is bribing water board officials. You can't prove any of that. I held up Dad's notebook again. 20 years of proof. Every well you drilled, every farm that failed after, and Jim Paulson's financial records showing he owns stock in your company. The crowd exploded, people shouting, angry, finally understanding why their food costs kept rising while family farms kept disappearing. Derek got in his Escalade. Before he drove off, he rolled down his window. You think this changes anything? We have legal teams in 3 states. We have lobbyists. We have time. You have dead chickens and debt. He drove away, but the crowd stayed, growing. People sharing their own stories of wells going dry, farms foreclosed, communities destroyed. Amy Chen looked at her cameraman. This is going statewide tonight, maybe national. The state police officer walked over to me. Ma'am, we need to clear the highway, but first I need to ask, do you have evidence of criminal activity? I thought about the EPA report I'd sent, the wetlands, the endangered fairy shrimp, the falsified documents. Yes, I said. I have everything. The next morning, everything started happening at once. The state attorney general's office called at 7 a.m. Miss Mitchell, we're opening a formal investigation into Golden Valley Agricultural Corporation. We need all your documentation. I already sent copies to the EPA. We need everything, the originals. We're sending investigators today. An hour later, 3 EPA vans pulled up to my farm. Scientists in hazmat suits started taking water samples from my dead wells, testing equipment everywhere. They moved to Golden Valley's property line and started documenting the 8 industrial wells. My phone rang. Jenny Torres, breathless. Sarah, turn on the news. The highway footage was everywhere. My dead chickens, my father's notebooks, Derek Chen trying to stop the cameras. The story had gone national overnight. Golden Valley's stock is crashing, Jenny said, down 30% since markets opened. Another call. Jim Paulson had resigned from the water board. To avoid being a distraction, his statement said, but everyone knew the real reason. His financial ties to Golden Valley were all over social media. Dr. Kumar called next. The university suddenly approved my research. Full funding restored. They're pretending they supported me all along. What changed? The governor's office called the university president. Asked why they were suppressing environmental research. Jake texted from a new number. FBI offered witness protection. I'm going to testify. They have Derek Chen's phone records. He ordered the attack on me. The EPA team leader walked over. Miss Mitchell, we need to shut down all pumping immediately. The fairy shrimp pools are critical. If they extract another 1,000,000 gallons, the habitat is gone forever. Can you stop them? Federal emergency injunction. It's being signed right now. 3 black SUVs pulled up. FBI agents. They headed straight for Golden Valley's office building next door. Maria called. Sarah, there are news vans at every farm in the valley. Everyone wants to tell their story. Thompson pulled up in his truck. Just heard from Fresno County. They're investigating Golden Valley's operations there too. Tulare County just filed charges for permit fraud. Another call. The governor's office. Miss Mitchell? The governor wanted you to know she's signing emergency water protection legislation today. No more industrial wells without full environmental review. I sat on my porch watching the FBI carry boxes out of Golden Valley's office. Derek Chen's Escalade was gone. Someone said he'd fled to Nevada in the middle of the night. Amy Chen arrived with her cameraman. Sarah, Derek Chen's been arrested at the Nevada border. Federal charges for environmental crimes and witness tampering. What about the water? What about our farms? The federal judge is issuing an order. Golden Valley has to cap 5 wells immediately, the other 3 restricted to minimal use. And Sarah, she smiled. They have to pay for restoration, all of it. Dr. Kumar arrived with a thick folder. The full aquifer analysis. At current extraction, we were 3 weeks from total ecological collapse. You stopped it just in time. The EPA team leader walked over with his tablet. The wetlands are already responding. Water table's rising now that the pumps are off. It'll take time, but it will recover. More cars arriving. The other water board members looking scared. The state investigators wanted to talk to all of them about what they knew and when. Jenny Torres pulled up. Sarah, I just got off the phone with Golden Valley's parent company. They want to settle. All 7 farms, full restoration costs plus damages. How much? Enough to rebuild, enough to start over, enough to make sure this never happens again. I looked at my empty chicken houses. 300 surviving birds pecking around the yard, the ones Thompson's water saved. 5,000 graves I'd never dig because the bodies went to rendering. But the water table was rising. The wells would flow again. Maybe not next month or even next year, but eventually. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time I recognized the area code. Washington, D.C. Miss Mitchell, this is the Department of Justice. We're filing federal charges against Golden Valley Agricultural Corporation and 6 individuals including Derek Chen. We'll need you to testify. I'll be there. The farm was quiet now. No chicken sounds, no pumps running, just the wind and the sound of investigators documenting crimes that almost destroyed everything. Almost. That night at Maria's house, I couldn't sleep. Her guest room smelled like lavender and old wood, nothing like my farm. The 300 surviving chickens were in her barn, the ones Thompson's water saved. We'd moved them after dark, both of us too exhausted to speak. Maria knocked softly. You awake? Yeah. She sat on the edge of the bed. We looked like hell. Both of us had lost weight. Her organic certification was still under review. My farm was a crime scene wrapped in yellow tape. Jenny called, she said. The criminal case could take years. Years. But the emergency injunction holds. No more pumping while it's being investigated. We both knew what that meant. The water table might recover, might if the judge made the injunction permanent, if Golden Valley didn't find a loophole, if their lawyers didn't drag this out until we were all bankrupt. The civil suit is different, Maria continued. Jenny says we could see money in months, not years. I don't want their money. I want my farm back. I know. My phone buzzed. Another donation notification. The online fundraiser had hit 200,000. People from across the country sending $5, $10, $20. Enough to keep us afloat during the legal fight. Enough to buy feed for 300 chickens. Not enough to bring back 5,000 dead birds. Thompson's wife brought soup, Maria said. You should eat. Later, she understood. Food felt wrong when everything was dying. I'd visited Dad's grave that afternoon. Sat in the brown grass and told him everything. How I'd fought, how I'd lost almost everything. How Derek Chen was in federal custody, but the farm was still dying. I didn't let them win, Dad, I'd said to the headstone. But I didn't exactly win either. The grave didn't answer. Just whined through dead grass. Jenny had filed the civil suit that morning. 7 farms seeking damages, not just money. We wanted Golden Valley's wells permanently capped. We wanted the aquifer protected. We wanted promises this would never happen again. We're not just suing for money, Jenny had said. We're suing for justice. But justice wouldn't bring back my chickens. Wouldn't undo 3 months of hell. Wouldn't erase the image of birds dying on the highway. Maria stood up. The judge rules tomorrow on the permanent injunction. I know. If we lose, we won't. But if we do, I thought about it. If the judge sided with Golden Valley, if their lawyers convinced him that agricultural efficiency mattered more than family farms, if they could keep pumping while the case dragged on for years. Then we start over somewhere else, I said. Somewhere without industrial wells. You'd leave? Would you stay? She didn't answer. We both knew the truth. Without water, there was no point. You can't farm dust. My phone lit up. Another text from the unknown number. Judge Walker is good, former EPA lawyer. He understands aquifers. Who keeps texting you? Maria asked. I don't know, but they've been right about everything so far. Tomorrow the judge would decide. Permanent injunction or slow death, protection or destruction, justice or just another story about small farms disappearing. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. Somewhere in Maria's barn, 300 chickens were settling for the night, all that was left of 3 generations of Mitchell farming. Tomorrow would decide if they were an ending or a beginning. The federal courthouse was packed before 9 a.m. Every family farmer in 3 counties had shown up. Golden Valley brought 12 lawyers in $1,000 suits. I had Jenny Torres and the truth. Judge Walker was younger than I expected, maybe 50. Used to work for the EPA, someone had said. He spent 3 hours reviewing evidence without speaking, just reading, Dad's 20 years of water records, the falsified geological surveys, the email about managing small farm failures. Dr. Kumar's aquifer analysis, the dead fairy shrimp pools. Then Derek Chen took the stand. He was wearing an ankle monitor, federal custody pending trial. His lawyers had coached him well, but the truth kept leaking through. Mr. Chen, the judge said, did you know the aquifer couldn't sustain your extraction rate? We believed natural recharge would compensate. That's not what I asked. Did you know? Chen's lawyer started to object. The judge held up his hand. Mr. Chen? We had conflicting data. From whom? Various sources. The judge pulled out the original geological survey, the one Dad had hidden, the one that showed everything. This is your company's commissioned survey from Dr. Martin Webb. It clearly states the aquifer recharge rate is 2 million gallons per year. Your wells extract 3.5 million. Did you know this? Chen looked at his lawyers. They had nothing. We believed the small farms weren't using water efficiently. So, you knew they'd fail? We anticipated market corrections. Market corrections. The judge's voice was ice. Is that what you call destroying family farms? They were acceptable losses. The courtroom exploded. Someone yelled murderer. Security moved in. Judge Walker let me speak last. I stood up on legs that barely worked. 3 months of fighting, 3 months of watching everything die. My father built our farm with his hands, dug the first well himself in 1983, hit good water at 200 feet, water that never failed until Golden Valley arrived. I held up the photo of Dad teaching me to gather eggs. 3 generations of Mitchells fed this community. We weren't asking for charity. We weren't asking for special treatment. We were asking to keep the water we'd used responsibly for 40 years. My voice cracked. Didn't care. They took our water knowing we'd die. Not metaphorically. Literally. 8,000 chickens died, 7 farms destroyed, and they called us acceptable losses. Chen wouldn't look at me. Your Honor, we're not asking for sympathy. We're asking for justice. Stop them before they do this to another valley, another community, another family that just wants to farm. Judge Walker didn't even pause. I'm issuing a permanent injunction effective immediately. Golden Valley Agricultural Corporation will cease all water extraction beyond sustainable limits as defined by Independent Geological Survey. 5 wells to be permanently capped within 7 days. The remaining 3 restricted to 500,000 gallons per year combined. Golden Valley's lawyers erupted. Your Honor, that's not enough to maintain operations. Then perhaps you should have considered that before destroying an aquifer. He kept reading. Additionally, Golden Valley will provide water to all affected farms at their expense for 24 months while the aquifer recovers. Failure to comply will result in federal seizure of all assets. More shouting from their lawyers. I'm also referring this case to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. The evidence of deliberate environmental destruction and fraud is overwhelming. Derek Chen's face went white. Mr. Chen, you're fortunate you're only facing federal charges. If those fairy shrimp had gone extinct, you'd be looking at 20 years. The judge stood. This court is adjourned. People were crying, hugging. 3 months of hell, and finally someone in power said what we all knew. This was deliberate, this was criminal, this was wrong. Jenny grabbed my shoulders. We won, Sarah. We won. But I was looking at Chen being led out in handcuffs. He finally met my eyes. No smile now, no superiority. Just a man who destroyed everything for money and finally had to face it. We won. But winning doesn't bring back 8,000 dead chickens. Doesn't undo months of trauma. Doesn't resurrect what they killed. Still, the water would flow again. Eventually, that had to be enough. The fines started hitting Golden Valley the next week. $2.8 million for permit violations. The EPA inspector told me it was one of the largest agricultural fines in California history. But Golden Valley's parent company had billions. They'd pay it like a parking ticket. The real pain came from the well closures. 5 wells permanently capped with concrete. I watched them do it. Stood at the property line with Maria and Thompson while workers pumped cement into those 800-foot holes. Each well had cost them $300,000 to drill. Now they were just expensive graves. Derek Chen was gone. Fired the day after the ruling. Under federal investigation for fraud, witness tampering, and environmental crimes. His replacement flew in from corporate headquarters. Some VP who kept saying this was an unfortunate misunderstanding. Jim Paulson got arrested at his house. Federal corruption charges. His wife screamed at the cameras that he was just trying to help the community prosper. The other 2 water board members who'd taken Golden Valley money resigned before they could be charged. Patricia Winters, Robert Harrison. Both had received consulting fees from agricultural companies. The county installed new water monitoring equipment on every well, real-time data going straight to the state, no more lying about extraction rates, no more drilling without oversight. Small farms got priority rights during drought conditions. First time in California history that family operations got protected over corporate ones. Golden Valley's stock crashed. 60% gone in a week. Their parent company's board called an emergency meeting. Word was they were considering bankruptcy for the California division. Cut their losses before more states started investigating. Jenny Torres handled the settlements. 7 farms, 7 different stories of destruction. But Golden Valley wanted it over fast. Bad publicity was killing them. They're offering $400,000 for your farm, Jenny said. We were in her office, stacks of paper everywhere. Plus the 2 years of water they already owe you. $400,000. Not even half what the farm was worth before they destroyed it, but enough to rebuild, enough to start over. The others? Thompson gets $350, Maria gets $200. The others between $150 and $300 depending on damage. What's the catch? No admission of guilt, no talking to press about the settlement amount, standard corporate cover-your-ass language. I thought about Dad building this farm. 3 generations of Mitchells. $400,000 to pretend it never happened. They destroyed everything. They did. But this is what we can get. They have lawyers in every state. We could fight for years and maybe get more, maybe get nothing. I signed. What else could I do? The bank wanted their money. The chickens needed feed. The roof needed fixing. Thompson signed his the same day. It's not justice by some, he said, but at least we survive. Maria held out longer. The organic certification issue had cost her everything, but eventually she signed too. We all did. 7 families taking money to stay quiet about our destruction. Golden Valley's new management sent out a press release. Reaching amicable agreements with our agricultural neighbors. Like we were friends. Like they hadn't murdered 8,000 chickens and destroyed 3 generations of farming. But here's what they couldn't buy. The criminal case. Derek Chen facing 20 years. The new water regulations protecting small farms. The national attention that made every corporate farm think twice before drilling deep wells. And they had to deliver water. Every day, for 2 years. The ultimate humiliation. The first delivery came in a Golden Valley truck. The driver wouldn't look at me. Just hooked up the hose, filled my tanks, and left. Same truck that used to pass my dying farm on the way to their almonds, now keeping my surviving chickens alive. I used part of the settlement to buy 2,000 new chicks, heritage breeds, hardy birds that could handle heat. The kind my grandfather raised before everything became industrial. Thompson bought new cows. Maria replanted her vegetables. We were all starting over, smaller, smarter, angrier. $400,000. That's what 3 generations of Mitchell farming was worth to them. A rounding error on their quarterly report. But we were still here, still farming, still fighting, and their wells were full of concrete. 3 months after the ruling, I finally moved back to my farm. The place looked abandoned. Weeds everywhere. Empty chicken houses with doors hanging open. The silence was wrong. A chicken farm should never be this quiet. Maria helped me carry boxes from her truck. At least the house is still standing. Barely. The roof still leaked. The refrigerator had died completely while I was gone, but it was home, or what was left of it. The water gauge on my well still read 0. Dr. Kumar said it could take 2 years for the aquifer to recharge enough to reach our wells again. Maybe longer. But every morning at 7 a.m., a Golden Valley truck pulled up to fill my tanks. 2,000 gallons. The driver never made eye contact, just hooked up the hose, filled the tanks, and left. The irony made me sick. The company that destroyed my water supply, now keeping me alive, their logo on the truck that saved my chickens. I had 1,000 birds now. Started with the 300 survivors, added 700 new chicks with the settlement money. Heritage breeds, tough birds that could handle heat and stress. Nothing like the production hens Dad raised, but better for what was coming. The phone rang. Whole Foods buyer. Sarah, we want to offer you a new contract. You canceled my last one. That was a mistake. Your story has been all over social media. People want to support farms like yours. Farms like mine? Survivor farms. Farms that fought back. We'll pay premium prices for your eggs. 20% above market. I did the math. 1,000 chickens at premium prices would actually net more profit than 8,000 at regular prices. Less work, more money, all because we'd become a symbol. We want to feature you in our marketing campaign, she continued. The farmer who saved California water. Drought survivor eggs. Drought survivor eggs. Like my trauma was a selling point. Fine, Fred, I said, because I needed the money, because the bank still owned most of my farm. Tyler texted that afternoon. Heard you're rebuilding. I could use work. No. Golden Valley laid everyone off. I have kids. You left when I needed you most. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Some bridges stay burned. Jake called with better news. Got promoted to senior clerk, full benefits, pension. That's amazing. FBI witness protection helped. Turns out testifying against agricultural criminals looks good on a resume. How's your hand? Healed. Mostly. Still hurts when it rains. Maria stopped by that evening with her tractor. Thought you could use this for cleaning the houses. I can't afford to rent it. Not renting. Sharing. You use it Mondays and Wednesdays. I use it the rest. That's how we survive now. Sharing equipment, sharing water when we had it, sharing the burden of starting over. Thompson had already rebuilt his dairy to half its original size, 40 cows instead of 80. But he was making artisan cheese now, selling direct to restaurants. More profit per gallon of milk. We were all smaller, all angrier, all smarter. That night, I walked through the chicken houses with the new birds. They were settling in, establishing pecking orders, learning their new home. In the morning, Golden Valley's truck would come with water they were forced to provide. I'd gather eggs from heritage chickens that their lawyers couldn't kill, sell them for premium prices because surviving had made us special. The farm would never be what it was. 3 generations of growth destroyed in 3 months. But it would be something, different, harder, more careful. I stood where Dad's well used to flow, bone dry still, maybe forever. But somewhere deep below, the water was slowly rising, inch by inch, drop by drop. Golden Valley's wells were full of concrete, their CEO under federal indictment, their company hemorrhaging money. We weren't winning, but we weren't losing anymore either. Sometimes that's enough. 6 months later, the water table had risen 30 feet. Dr. Kumar showed me the data on her tablet. Still 100 feet below original levels, but it's recovering. How long? 10 years minimum, maybe longer. If no one else starts industrial extraction. 10 years. I'd be almost 50 before the water came back to where Dad knew it. I'd installed rain capture systems on every roof, gutters feeding into 5,000-gallon tanks, gray water recycling for the vegetable garden. Every drop counted now. The new chickens were different. Heritage breeds, Rhode Island Reds, Buff Orpingtons. Birds that could handle heat and needed less water than the production hens Dad raised. Only 1,500 now, would never be 8,000 again. Saturday mornings, I taught workshops at the community center. Water rights for small farmers. 20 people showed up each week. All terrified their wells would be next. Document everything, I told them. Test your water monthly, keep records. When they come, and they will come, you need evidence. I served on the new Citizen Water Oversight Committee. 5 farmers, 3 scientists, 1 lawyer, no one with agricultural corporation ties allowed. We reviewed every well application, made site visits, kept corporations honest. The news about Derek Chen came through Jake. He's in Texas now, starting a new agricultural corporation, same playbook. Someone should warn them. Someone did. The Texas farmers already have lawyers. Some battles you win, some just move to another state. I kept Dad's tradition, every measurement recorded, every change documented, not just for legal protection anymore, for the next generation. So they'd know what we'd lost, what we'd fought for, what they'd need to fight for too. Maria's daughter Elena started coming by after school, 16 years old, wanted to learn farming. First lesson, I told her. Water isn't infinite. Anyone who says otherwise is lying or selling something. Her eyes were serious. Mom told me what they did to you. They did it to all of us, and they'll do it again if we're not careful. On Dad's birthday, I brought flowers to his grave. The new headstone read, "He saved the farm twice. Once by building it, once by keeping records. Mom had paid for it. Still didn't understand why I stayed, but she understood Dad had made it possible. The farm was smaller but stronger, like California itself after every disaster. Learning to survive with less, making every resource count. My phone rang, another farmer from Kern County. My well's dropping fast. New almond operation moved in next door. Check your property records, document everything. I'll be right there. 1 year later, the first annual Water Rights Festival packed the fairground. 500 farmers from 6 counties, information booths, legal aid, scientists explaining aquifer systems, and me at the microphone, looking at faces that understood. They thought we'd disappear quietly, I said. Sell our land, accept our fate, move to the cities and leave agriculture to corporations. Behind me, a demonstration well pump started working. The crowd could hear it. Water. Not much, but some. The first water from my own well in 18 months. This is proof aquifers can heal, if we protect them. If we fight for them. The Golden Valley property had been for sale for 6 months, subdivided now. The Chinese investment company that was interested backed out. Too much regulatory risk in California, their statement said. 7 small farms were buying pieces at auction, forming a community land trust, shared water rights, shared equipment, cooperative farming that corporations couldn't destroy. My eggs were at every farmer's market in 3 counties now. The label read, "Survive the water wars." People paid $12 a dozen, not for the eggs, for the principal. The bank restructured my loan, payments I could actually make. Not rich, would never be rich, but surviving. The American dream scaled down to reality. Dad's photo still hung on the barn wall. Next to it, a new one. Me teaching the neighbor's kid Hannah how to gather eggs. Same spot where Dad taught me 30 years ago. This land will take care of you if you take care of it, I told her, repeating Dad's words. Then I added what he never had to say, what I'd learned the hard way. And if you fight for it, every single day, against anyone who thinks they can take it. Water is life. Life requires defending. That's the lesson California taught us. That's the lesson we'd teach the next generation. The wells weren't full. The farms weren't whole. The scars remained. But we were still here, still fighting, still farming, and Golden Valley's wells were still full of concrete.